Please help me and get me just 100 subscribers. I'll never forget the way she laughed that night. We were sitting on opposite sides of the bed, me scrolling through emails, her watching TikToks, when I finally broke the silence. "It's been 2 months, Emily," I said quietly. "We're married. We should at least be trying to reconnect." She looked up, smirked, and then laughed. A short, cruel laugh that cut deeper than any argument ever could. "You're not sleeping with me," she said mockingly, like it was a joke. "Not until I feel like it. Deal with it." My stomach twisted. This wasn't the first time she had brushed me off, but tonight felt different. There was no explanation, no hint of apology, just dismissal, like my needs didn't matter. I didn't fight back that night. I lay awake staring at the ceiling while she snored softly beside me, a gulf of silence between us. The next morning, I tried again to talk to her, to understand what was going on. "Emily, this isn't just about sex," I said. "It's about us, about intimacy, about being a team." But she just rolled her eyes. "You're so dramatic. Not everything is about you." That day, something inside me shifted. For weeks, I had blamed myself. Maybe I wasn't being patient enough. Maybe I wasn't attractive enough. Maybe I wasn't doing enough to make her feel wanted. But now I realized it wasn't about me at all. It was about respect, or rather, the lack of it. I started noticing other things too. The way she spent hours texting and giggling at her phone, but barely said 2 words to me. The way she suddenly stayed late at work, coming home smelling like a different perfume than the one she usually wore. I told myself I was imagining it, but deep down I knew I wasn't. The final straw came one Friday night when I overheard her on the phone in the kitchen. "He's so needy," she said, laughing again. "I swear it's like living with a teenager. No, don't worry. He won't do anything about it. He never does." I stood frozen in the hallway, her words ringing in my ears. She didn't just dismiss me, she mocked me to someone else. In that moment, I stopped feeling hurt and started feeling angry. That night, while she was still on the phone, I quietly opened my laptop and started looking up divorce attorneys. Over the weekend, I played it cool. I smiled, I made coffee, I acted like nothing had changed. But inside, I was done. My gut told me there was more going on, and I wasn't going to ignore it any longer. On Sunday, Emily said she was meeting a friend for brunch. I watched her get dressed. Full makeup, new dress, heels she hadn't worn since our wedding reception. My stomach tightened, but I just nodded and said, "Have fun." The moment she left, I followed. I stayed far enough behind that she wouldn't notice me, but close enough to watch her walk into a quiet cafe and right into the arms of a man I'd never seen before. He hugged her like someone who wasn't just a friend. They sat across from each other, leaning in close, sharing little touches and secret smiles. I didn't storm in, I didn't make a scene. Instead, I took out my phone and started recording. 10 minutes of undeniable evidence. Every laugh, every touch, every stolen glance. When she finally kissed him goodbye in the parking lot, my chest felt like it was on fire. But I had what I needed. That night, I waited until she came home. She walked through the door, all smiles, and kissed me on the cheek like nothing was wrong. "How was brunch?" I asked, my voice calm. "Fine," she said casually, kicking off her shoes. "Good," I said, pulling out my phone. "Because I'd hate to think you were lying to me." The color drained from her face as I pressed play. Her laughter, her hand brushing through that man's hair, it all played out in perfect clarity on the screen. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. "Emily," I said slowly, "do you know how humiliating it is to be laughed at in my own house, in my own marriage, and then find out this is what you've been doing behind my back?" Her hands trembled as she reached for the phone. "It's not what it looks like." "It's exactly what it looks like," I cut in, my voice sharp. "And I'm done pretending this is a marriage." For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. She tried to grab my arm, but I stepped back. "You think this is funny?" I said, my voice shaking with anger. You won't be laughing tomorrow." That night, I packed a suitcase, sent the evidence to my lawyer, and slept on the couch. Not because I had to, but because I wanted as much distance from her as possible. The next morning, I didn't bother with breakfast or small talk. When Emily came into the kitchen, her eyes were red like she hadn't slept. "Can we talk?" she asked softly. I didn't look up from my coffee. "We talked last night," I said flatly. "Now it's time to act." She sat down across from me, her hands twisting nervously. "It was a mistake," she whispered. "It didn't mean anything." I finally looked at her. "Emily, you laughed at me. You mocked me and then you betrayed me? It meant enough for you to risk our entire marriage." Her voice broke. "She can change. I swear, just don't leave me." I shook my head. "You made this decision when you chose him over us. I'm not going to be the man who begs for scraps of affection." Her tears came harder now. She grabbed my hand, desperate. "You can't just throw away everything we've built." I pulled my hand back slowly. "You did it. You threw it away. The first time you decided to cheat, and every time you laughed at me for caring about this marriage." The room went quiet except for her sobs. I stood, picked up the divorce papers I'd printed that morning, and placed them on the table. "I want a divorce," I said steadily. Her face crumpled completely. She cried, "Please don't do this." But I didn't flinch. I deserve a wife who respects me. You deserve the man you've been sneaking around with. Go be with him. I left the house that afternoon, my suitcase in the trunk, and my future wide open. As I drove away, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. A week later, she texted me. "I made a mistake. Please come home." I didn't reply. I had already signed the papers and scheduled the court date. When we stood before the judge, she wept silently, but I didn't shed a single tear. For the first time, I felt like I had taken my life back. As I walked out of the courthouse, I realized something. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do isn't to scream or fight or beg. It's to walk away, quietly, completely, and with your dignity intact. That night, I went home to an empty apartment, boxes stacked in the corner, new beginnings still smelling like paint and freedom. I cooked dinner for one, played music I hadn't listened to in years, and for the first time, it didn't feel lonely. It felt peaceful. Every message she sent after that went unanswered. Every apology, every late night "I miss you" stayed unread. I didn't need closure from the person who broke me. The closure was in my silence. Weeks later, I passed the cafe where I'd once watched her meet that man. The memory didn't sting anymore. It just reminded me of how far I'd come. I'd lost someone I loved, but I'd found someone better, myself. I learned that sometimes love isn't enough when respect is gone, and sometimes losing the wrong person is the only way to make space for peace. When I finally went to bed that night, I smiled at the quiet. It wasn't the silence of resentment anymore. It was the sound of healing. And in that stillness, I whispered to myself what she never did. You were enough. She just wasn't worthy of you.